Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we discuss day-to-day problems people face in their lives. Let's start with the video. Back in my early years of university, when life was good and everything was wild and fresh and fun, for some reason I decided to take the fun out of life and get into a relationship that lasted all the way to a failed marriage. I hope people can't take a joke and not bash me for saying that commitment is not as fun as nights out with your friends every once in a while. I've taken pride in the way love presented itself in my life and the amazing person that I got to be with for a good majority of our marriage. He was some poor kid from a third world country and worked his ace off in his teen years to be able to fly out to a better country and get educated without forgetting where he came from or losing touch with generosity or kindness. His kindness can almost be devastating at times, as he's very easily manipulated and taken advantage of, which makes him a naive, innocent little puppet that people like to walk all over all the time. His mother happens to be one of those people. Although I find it inappropriate that I should have to talk to him and tell him that, as an adult that is at the age of 30-something years old, he doesn't need to be talking to his mother for hours every single day, while his kids grow up needing just as much attention from him, yet seeming to lack it. This very topic has led us to the few arguments in our relationship, but we never really let it get to the point of causing fights or massive disputes. One thing that did was when he came up to me one day informing me that because of the permanent residency he got from our marriage and the fact that he had been married to me for 5 years, he would finally be able to have his mother fly out and live with us. Knowing what kind of woman his mother was and how much the quality of our lives is going to slide downhill when she gets here, as well as the fact that I don't put up with crap from anyone, meant that I had to express my feelings just as strongly as I felt them, and boy was I furious. Not only was he not asking nor discussing it with me, but rather informing me, but he had already made the legal steps necessary for her to fly out within a couple of months. Hear me out. My husband and I are very blessed when it comes to finances, as I run 2 businesses at the same time, and he's a full-time doctor, which means that our home is equipped to house many people. Part of the reason behind this is the fact that we already have 2 kids and we want a few more. Unlike my husband, I stopped trying to impress her long after I realized she was persuading him to dropping out of college and granting her other son his college tuition money. I think that just sums it up and explains why I see her as a threat to the stability and the safety of my household. Anyways, she did end up moving into our home with my consent after my husband and I discussed the conditions and boundaries which she will obviously go on to ignore and disrespect at every granted opportunity. As I mentioned previously, I'm not the kind of person that would grant people automatic respect or gratitude, and therefore family members don't have an immediate, unshakable amount of respect and tolerance. I'm also someone that works and runs 2 businesses as well as takes care of chores around the house. Considering the fact that my husband can barely pick up 2 plates without breaking one of them, I understand and appreciate the fact that he's trying to do better, though it really isn't doing much. And I also see through the fact that my mother-in-law is doing her best to get on my nerves as often as she can. One of the most annoying things she would do was remember how I said she had a room of her own in our house, which she was meant to be her bedroom. You know, where people are supposed to sleep. I would wake up every single morning to go to my little newborn's room to start his morning routine, aka showering and feeding and clothing before taking out for a walk with the dog. You need to understand that running a really busy lifestyle requires that very specific and consistent routines are set in place. So, when I wake up every single morning and my mother-in-law is sleeping in my baby's room and I'm unable to do things properly or as efficiently, can't pull out the things that I need from their places as well as walk around the room quickly, my morning been done ruined. Therefore, the rest of my day's quality goes to shit. Not only that, but she would complain to me about the fact that I wake up in the morning and I annoy and bother her and disrespect her sleeping habits, which genuinely makes me want to strangle her. Following many arguments and discussions that my husband and I had, we decided on asking her to move out to another apartment and we would be the ones to pay for it and make sure she gets a good one that's either near to our house or in a really good neighborhood. And then, after more pondering and catering to my husband's desire to fish out her approval, we settled on buying a house instead of renting one. My husband has always been really interested in real estate, and to him, this was more of an investment than it was a temporary problem plug. But if you think this was the end of the crap with her, nay, nay, we're only getting started. Once she was settled into her amazing new apartment that was empty because of the fact that it was bought and not rented, she asked my husband to give her his credit card because she had seen me walk around the mall and pay with my credit card and questioned me. And then I explained to her the concept of credit cards and the difference between them and debit cards. I genuinely regret doing that now. She told my husband that she needed to buy a few things and that she would pay him back as soon as she started working because she had plans to do that. She was 49 years old and could definitely bear a couple of hours of labor every day. My husband felt too embarrassed to say no to her and couldn't give her one because the credit card he had didn't offer him full services like my card did. He very respectfully asked me for what he said would be the last favor he would ever ask me regarding his mother. He asked me to allow her to use a credit card to get herself settled in the first few months, and she'll pay me back, and even if she doesn't, he's gonna find a way to pay me himself. Again, I don't give two craps about the money, but the fact that she was expanding her grip and only getting worse and worse with her requests and requirements is what bugged me the most. She actually came and asked me herself, and it was one of those few times she was being nice to me, and I felt more open to the idea of giving it to her temporarily, which I did end up doing and now regret deeply. A couple of months ago, I got the bank statement, which you get once every single month, telling you how much you've taken out using your credit card and when you're supposed to pay it and everything. The numbers that were on it were off the charts, and there was no way she would have been able to pay them back in a few months. I talked to my husband about it and told him I would be taking back my credit card regardless of whether he or she like it or not, because if she doesn't pay me back, then I'm not going to accept money from my husband. And I'm also already mad about all the money she has managed to use on her own in such a short period of time. When I went to talk to her and ask her to give me back my credit card, she served me this cold, disgusted attitude, as if I was asking her to do me a favor or pay on my behalf. I didn't stutter 1 minute and told her everything I thought leading up to that point and told her that if she wouldn't give me my credit card, she would pay for it and not in cash. The following week, as I was feeding my 3-year-old in the morning, I got a knock on the door that turned out to be CPS, Child Protection Services, telling me that there has been a report placed on my children and that they're being underfed, sleep deprived, and attention deprived from their mother. I was genuinely shocked and obviously perplexed, but I walked him around the house and showed them that I had everything in place to ensure my children are healthy and happy, and even took them upstairs and let them see for themselves that my newborns love me and wouldn't stop crying out for me to hold him if I'm in the room, as we have an indisputably good bond and I spent a lot of time with him and everything. As they were leaving and apologizing for being an inconvenience, as well as barging into my home accusing me of something so criminal, they told me that I should probably be talking to my mother-in-law and solve this with her because if the false reports keep coming in, they would be placing blame on the two of us and our poor ways of handling whatever problems we may have. That's when the realization hit me, and I realized that if I don't put my foot down and do something to stop her, this would be the beginning of something that would genuinely destroy the quality of my life, and I'll kill a witch if anyone tries to do anything remotely close to that. I'll keep you posted if anything changes, and holy crap, am I gonna make her regret it. Update. Since the last time I posted about my mother-in-law calling CPS on me, your comment made me genuinely cackle. You guys are pure evil, lol. Anyways, I contacted my lawyer and told him that she falsely called CPS on me and is probably willing to do more than that to prove whatever sickened point she thinks she has. He suggested that I press charges against her about that single incident, but I could think of something even better that would actually land her behind bars. I told him that our dispute began when she refused to give me back my credit card and that she had been spending extravagant amounts of money on it, which was never part of our agreement. He said that if I pressed charges against her and accused her of stealing my credit card, it could land her up to 15 years in prison and over $25,000 in fines. Quite honestly, at this point, the sole reason I haven't gone forth with the charges and the lawsuit is because my husband is threatening to divorce me if I do. Not his finest moment, nor mine. As much as I'm tempted to be petty and salty and put a woman that doesn't deserve to be free behind bars, I'm not sure if I'm willing to do that at the expense of my happy and healthy marriage and love relationship with my husband. I'll keep y'all posted if anything changes. Next story. So I, 27 male, have been dating Paige, 27 for 4 years. She's amazing, smart, dedicated, and a wonderful person. I'm excited to start my life well. Paige had a difficult childhood because of her mother, Robin. Robin bounced from guy to guy and Paige had to follow as she never knew her dad. Her mom had been married and divorced 4 times, with her last husband being a great guy I really liked. Robin cheated on him, took half the stuff, Robin doesn't work, and is now dating Troy. Paige knows her mother is flawed but still loves her and for some reason respects her. This caused me to have doubts about me and Paige's relationship because I feared she was going to end up like her mom. I expressed concerns about getting married because of the experiences Paige's mom put her through and how it affected Paige's view on marriage. I also feared Robin would encourage Paige to cheat if things ever got hard. Her mom is a serial cheater and has tanked all of her marriages. We went to couples counseling over this and to get myself more comfortable with a possible marriage. Me and Robin have always had a very tense relationship. I just think she's a crappy person and she thinks Paige deserves better. So, things came to a head last weekend. Her mother wanted to have a talk with us about marriage. I didn't want to go, but Paige encouraged it, so we did. We got there and she sat us down and pulled up a chair like we were in a principal's office and proceeded to go on a lecture about how marriage is hard. It's all about trust and a bunch of marriage-related advice. She also said that with my personality, things would get difficult for us, and I needed to make sure I was the best person I could be so I could be the best husband. I stopped listening after about a minute and sort of checked out. Paige started to notice and told me to pay attention. I said that this is ridiculous. Her mother is the last person I'm taking marriage advice from. It's like taking healthy advice from a meth addict. Troy came over and told me not to disrespect his girlfriend in his house. I literally laughed and said, "Buddy, you are number 5 and there will be a number 6. I wouldn't get too attached to this house." I got up and left with Paige following. Paige said we needed to hash this out immediately and wanted me to come back inside. I refused and ended up Ubering back to our house. Paige came home later wanting to talk about what happened. I said that while I love her and appreciate her mom caring for her, the reality is her mom is a serial cheater and hasn't ever had a successful marriage. I could care less about her mother's opinion on marriage and our relationship. My parents think while I'm not wrong, I have to live with this woman in my life and need to show restraint. I just have a hard time dealing with Robin, knowing all the stuff she put Paige through during her instability. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And if I can speak of my own experience, don't go into it expecting Paige to follow her mom's actions. My mom was the same as Robin, and I've been married for 28 years. My brother has been happily married for 25 years. We experienced it firsthand and made every effort to do the opposite. But I wouldn't take marriage advice from my mom either. Not the a-hole. I wouldn't touch that woman's advice with a 10-foot pole. Paige, Sage, may be a wonderful person, but it seems as though she's unwilling to acknowledge her mother's behavior towards her partners. I'm guessing she's seeking validation from her mother now since her childhood was put second. All in all, that's highly alarming. This isn't some mild concern that can be brushed over in the name of true love. Speak honestly with your fiancé about your concerns. If you really want to risk a marriage with her, But personally, I wouldn't even bother. Save yourself the heartbreak and the financial fear of divorce and move on. Everyone sucks here, but very soft for original poster. Mother-in-law has no place butting into your relationship by giving advice like that, and your girlfriend needs to set some boundaries with mother-in-law. However, you could have handled the situation a little bit better. No one says you have to take the advice, but your parents are right. You're going to have to put up with her, so just nod along and then later completely disregard what she tells you. Next story. I, 41 male, have a 13-year-old daughter, Mandy, with my ex-wife, Jane, 37 female. I would say post-divorce, we had a decent relationship and were cordial for our daughter's sake. But everything changed the day Jane started dating her current husband, Tom, 47 male. I guess she needed to prove to him that she was over me by becoming hostile because I, for the life of me, can't explain what else could be the reason for her becoming so angry and refusing to follow the custody agreement anymore. Because of my job at the time, she had primary custody, but I was supposed to get every other weekend and summers while we alternated holidays. I had to take my ex to court twice and was just grateful that former mother-in-law was on my side and wouldn't allow Jane to feed Mandy lies about me. I tried to be patient and forgiving in the beginning, but eventually Jane pushed me too far. Now I just handle her with cold aloofness and document as much as I can when interacting with her. During the pandemic, Tom and Jane lost their respective jobs and were in danger of losing the house. Jane took me to court for more child support, which I wasn't going to fight, but was mad when she didn't get as much as she wanted. After the decree, I started getting suspicious because Jane and I have equal access to Mandy's college fund, so I decided to add in special protections and alerts. I'm the primary on the account and Jane was just an authorized signer. Unfortunately, my suspicions were confirmed, and I received a call from the bank about an attempt to take out $10,000. It was Jane, and I was pissed. So mad that I went to Jane's place and yelled and cursed at her. I knew Mandy was out at the time, so I thought I was in the clear, but didn't realize when she and my former mother-in-law pulled up to the driveway. Mandy didn't hear everything, but she learned about what her mom tried to do. Mandy is now upset and acting out, and when Jane tries to discipline her, Mandy counters that she'll just live with me and lose the child support Jane and Tom desperately need. Jane is now asking me to help her put up a united front, but after what she did, I'm not looking into doing her any favors. However, my mother-in-law thinks that by allowing Mandy to play against each other, it will end up hurting her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but go get your daughter out of there. She's old enough now that the court will consider her request with whom she wants to live, and you have proof of the shady things your ex tried to do with your daughter's money. And if you tell the truth, I bet your daughter isn't seeing much of her child support. You pay that money to be used for your daughter, not the life of adults that steal from the child. Not the a-hole. However, this is about your daughter, and despite what she overheard, I'm sure she loves her mom and is feeling very confused and betrayed. As hard as it may be, I would request to sit down with daughter and ex to discuss all the current issues. Be honest, and if your ex won't, then so be it. Your daughter has her own mind in this. She's feeling betrayed already. Make sure she gets any support she needs. Not the a-hole. You were right in one of your comments. Your wife has justifiably lost the respect of your daughter. However, for your daughter's sake, I do think it makes sense to reinforce rules that are important for your daughter's safety, future, and mental health. Do your homework, school, work, yes. Have dinner with, spend time with her mom. That's your daughter's choice. Be honest with your daughter. You recognize that she's hurt, but there are some actions, behaviors that are not acceptable. I'm also going to echo another commenter's suggestion of therapy.